Okay, hello and welcome everyone. Welcome to JFD Brokers Traders Tea Time with me, Darius Anucauskas. Today's the 5th of November 2018. So welcome everyone. Welcome to this Monday's afternoon session where we're going to have a look at a few charts, how they're performing right now. So yep, as always, before we start looking at those, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest and we can continue. Okay guys, so now then, let's quickly jump into the charts. Now the first one I want to touch on is the DAX. Certainly, if you're trading today, the markets have been a bit of a drag here, so in a way not much is happening. And especially we can see that by the candle here that we've got here on the DAX, in a way it's just a doji here, basically no movement at all. We had a few ups and downs, but still nevertheless it remains here above this key important support area. Previously acted as resistance, but now it's like it's a good area of support, and that's around the 11,500. Certainly for now we're just going to continue observing this because to be honest, we can't say much here, even though yep, we are still above this downside resistance line, the short-term downside resistance line taken from the high of this candle here of this day, and that was the 4th of October. So in a way we're going to keep on monitoring that one. Certainly for now we're still more bullish than bearish, and if we get a nice break here above the 11,680 zone, approximately there, this could potentially open the path towards higher levels. Initially we'll be looking at this area right here at around 11,850, which also actually coincides here with this 50 EMA on the daily chart, shown as the red line, and so this could be a nice good level to watch. And if that doesn't hold, if this level doesn't hold the bulls down, then yep, we could see them charging the next potential area of resistance at around the psychological 12,000. So but for now guys, I mean, certainly just keep on monitoring this one. Like I said, there's not much activity happening here. So yep, what we're going to keep an eye on is this level right here at around 11,680 zone. On the downside, if this suddenly drops below the 11,500, now this still not all is lost, not all is lost for the bulls, and we could see this one traveling here lower towards the potentially towards the 11,320 zone, or even actually better here for this area right here at around 11,215 mark, approximately there. As you can see, it acted as a very nice area of support here on the 30th and the 29th of October. So in a way for now, what we're going to keep an eye on is this 11,500. Certainly, like I said, there's not much activity happening here today, and yep, we're gonna see how this performs tomorrow. So hopefully tomorrow we'll get some more volatility in here, and we'll see some better moves. Looking at the Shanghai composite, also this is an interesting one because even though yeah, we didn't have much activity here today as well, still what's interesting here is that the index managed to finally close above its downside resistance line, this long-term downside resistance line taken from the peak of the 29th of January. So we're now kind of trading above it. The only problem here is, as you can see, it's still kind of closed here below the 50 EMA. So this area here continues to prove itself quite as an important resistance, and let me just quickly mark that for future reference, and that's approximately around the 2677 area, something like this, approximately there. So in a way, this could be your short-term line that you're going to keep an eye on, because if we get a nice break above that, this could potentially open the path towards the next potential area of resistance at around this little level right here, and that's approximately around the 2773 zone. So just about 100 points away from this breaking point, this potential breaking point, of course. So for now, guys, keep your eyes on this one. Keep your eyes on this level here, the 2677 mark, approximately there. Let me just quickly probably drag this highlighted area here, because this is going to be our level to watch from the short-term perspective. If this, of course, if this suddenly drops below this downside resistance line, and we see the index traveling lower, for better confirmation, for us to kind of, let's say, start considering lower levels, we would need to see a nice good drop here below this little low that we had here, approximately around the 25 zone. Now this could, a break below that could potentially open the path towards much lower levels. This is where we're going to be aiming probably for the low that we saw here around October time, and that was approximately around the 2450 zone. Just slightly below that, you can see that I've got a line here as well, and this has been running here for quite a while here. And this last time this area was tested, this little level here, just slightly below the 2450 zone, is the 2440, just 10 points away from that, of course, not much, but nevertheless, that was the area last seen here around November time in 2014. So quite an important level here. So this is how it could play out, but of course, for these lower levels, we would need to get a nice good initial drop below the downside resistance line, and then eventually a break below the 25 zone, in order for us to kind of get comfortable with a possible move further towards these October lows. But judging by the picture that we're seeing right now on the daily chart, I mean, this is looking more positive, but again, for better confirmation of the upside, we would need to see this break above the 2677 zone, approximately there. Jumping into one commodity, or should I say precious metal, which probably performing better than its counterparts like silver and gold, which both of them are stuck in a range right now. Platinum kind of looks slightly better here and slightly more positive, because as you can see, last week we had this nice pop here to the upside. We managed to break this key area of resistance. I had this one highlighted, so I kept this this highlighted kind of mark here, didn't want to remove it, just to kind of show you what happened here. So last week on Thursday we had this nice pop here, and then on Friday, looking at this daily chart, we can see that it moved higher. It closed above the 200 EMA. So but today, even though we had a bit of retracement back to the downside, still it wasn't able to drop below the 200 EMA. Of course, that's yet, because we still might get a surprise here, and if we do get a surprise here, still not all is lost for the bulls, because as long as it kind of remains here above this key important area, which previously acted as a resistance, now is going to act as a nice area of support, 850.50 approximately there, of course. So you can in a way round it up towards the 850 zone. So we could see something like this, basically, where we could see a nice rebound from that level and another push higher. But if, let's say, this starts to roll over here and we continue dropping, and the precious metal drops below this little area right here at around 818 level, now this probably the bulls should brace themselves here, as the bears could take control from here more, or we could even see more bears joining in and potentially driving this one lower. So a good level to watch here on the downside is the 818. Certainly it's quite a bit of a drive here from where it is right now, and to be honest, the downside is kind of slightly off the table for now. Jumping into GBPUSD, looking at this one, it's, of course, it was declining here in the beginning of the day, but now it seems to be picking up the pace again. But looking at overall here, actually, let me just adjust a few lines here. Now it kind of skewed a little bit, and actually let me jump into a 4-hour chart on this one, as it will be a little bit better here. So as you can see, this line here, this kind of this medium-term upside support line has been broken to the downside, but then we formed another trend here, a downwards moving trend line here that was taken from the peak of the 16th of October, so a very short-term trend line, but that got broken as well, and we saw this one traveling a little bit higher. Now what we're seeing here right now is, in a way, somebody could say that this is a either a flag or a pennant formation here. So but nevertheless it's still looking more bullish than bearish. So as you can see, we had this nice rally last week and the end of last week, of course, so in a way this could have a little bit more steam here in order to push a little bit higher, potentially testing the 130.75 zone, which was marked here by the highs of the 21st of October and the low of the 18th of October. So quite a perfect area of support and resistance here, as you can see. But slightly above that we do have this medium-term upside support line. In a way it could get tested from underneath, but if it struggles to kind of go above it, then I mean, the bears could kind of take advantage of this higher rate here and potentially drive this one back down here. So as you can see by the arrow that I've got drawn here. So in a way, for now, guys, you could in a way play this as a short-term trade here. You could in a way have a look at this this potential break here above the 130.35, which could potentially, like I said, open the path towards these higher levels. But to be honest, if this is not kind of your style of trading, then you could in a way leave it and wait until this kind of gives us a better clear signal here. Now for the downside here, we would probably wait until we see a nice good drop here below the 129.50 zone, approximately there, and this way could then target these lower levels. But for now just keep on monitoring this. If we do get a nice pop here above the 130.35, remember that the upside still could be limited due to this this medium-term upside support line that could get tested from underneath. If of course we get a nice strong bull rally here and the pair manages to break this line here and pushes above, in that case what we're going to wait here for is a nice confirmation break here and a close on the daily candle on the daily chart above the 130.130, and this way we could then target these higher levels again that were last time seen in mid-October and as well the beginning of October. So for now guys, be very cautious on this one. Keep your eyes on it, and we might be able to squeeze something interesting out of it. Aussie dollar, good one as well. Looking at this 4-hour chart, you can see that it kind of trades now. It's trading outside of this this channel here that I had drawn on my chart. In a way, we could ignore this bottom side. Now we can just kind of focus on this downside resistance line taken from the peak of the 29th of January. So you can see it kind of broke it nicely to the upside. Today this is the level that we were keeping an eye on and that was the 0.7190 level. Now you can see that it wasn't able to kind of close below that even on the 4-hour chart. So of course the day is not finished yet, but what's interesting here is that when I was looking at this one last week and I was telling you guys to keep an eye on this potential retracement here towards the downside, certainly we kind of overshot it a little bit. The 0.7215 zone, we kind of overdid it, and we found support near the 0.7190, now from which it's now bouncing a little bit to the upside. So in a way still this becomes a bit tricky, even though it is looking more to the positive side and to the upside. But to be honest, I mean, if this wants to travel even further higher up, let's say later on in the future or in the near-term future, probably a bit of more retracement could be fine for this. I mean, could be a nice opportunity for the bulls to step in and take advantage of this lower rate and kind of then drag it all the way here higher towards these highs. And of course this could be a possible scenario, but for us to, let's say, start looking at the downside, if this drops below this downside resistance line and of course closes below the 0.7120 zone, which was marked here by this high here of the 30th of October, now then we will probably aim for much lower levels. For now, of course, judging by the way everything is shaping up at the moment, I mean, it's still looking more positive. If let's say this travels here higher and takes out, let me just actually adjust this level here. This is no longer needed. Now this is what you can keep an eye on, guys, here, just to be on a safe side. This is something for those more conservative traders, because in a way you could have a look at this high that we saw last week. And that was approximately around the 0.7260 zone, just maybe slightly below that, a few points below that. But nevertheless, you could keep an eye on that, because if we get a nice break here above this, this could potentially open the path towards much higher levels like the 0.7285 or even the 0.73 zone, so approximately there. Now again, for now, guys, of course, this, because it's still kind of not far from the 0.7190 zone, it's kind of really struggling to kind of push higher a little bit. There could be a scenario where we could see maybe this one retracing a little bit lower and then pushing back up again. So for now, be very cautious. Probably the recommendation here could be just wait and watch. And for those who are more on the conservative side, the 0.7180 also could be a possibility, as it was marked here by these lows that we saw today as well. So something like this, guys, could be possible, but again, for now, be very careful with this one. This could a bit retrace back down again, but like I said, let's not overcomplicate things here and just see how this performs. And the last pair that I really want to quickly touch on, and that's USDCAD. Looking at this 4-hour chart, you can see it's still kind of climbing higher, even though slightly retracing now to the downside. Nevertheless, holding on to this this short-term upside support line taken from the 1st of October, from the low of the 1st of October. So as long as it remains intact, we're going to still aim for higher levels. But let's say if this starts dropping and we see not only a drop below the this short-term upside support line, but also a nice close here below the 1.3045 area on the daily chart. Of course, a close on the daily chart. Now this is where it could become interesting for the bears again, and we could see them potentially driving this one lower here, initially maybe breaking the 130.12, or even then dropping towards the 129.66 zone, which was marked here by the low of the 24th of October. On the upside, for us to get comfortable with the upside, I mean, you could, in a way, from the very short-term perspective, of course, you could in a way look at this little high here, approximately around the 131.20. A nice good break above that could potentially open the path towards this high that we saw around the 31st of October, and that was approximately around the 131.70 zone. But if that doesn't hold, this could potentially travel even further. But for now, probably the small recommendation here will be just to kind of stay put and see what it wants to do with this upside support line, if of course it really wants to reach that upside support line here. Okay, guys, I hope you found it useful. Thank you very much for watching and listening. And if you want to join me tomorrow morning at my Trader's Espresso, and that's 6 o'clock GMT time, 7 o'clock British Summer Time. But for now, thank you very much, and bye-bye.